What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name is Nicole and I am a recovering addict, and my sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. That's right, you guys. Today is my sobriety birthday, and it is a huge, huge deal to me. So before I'm not going to start talking yet. I'm going to wait for everybody to get here. But I'm just so glad to have you guys here in my life. And we are going to have we're going to talk. I'm going to do my story, I think, you guys. I think we're just going to go through my entire recovery story. And so I know some of you guys might not know it. Hey, Dante. What's up, baby? I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are not alone. Deidre! Girl, listen to me, Deidre. I was literally just thinking about you last night, and I was like, you know what? I need to call Deidre. And yeah, I was just thinking about you, like, seriously. Hey, Avalon. You guys, if you guys haven't checked out my girl Avalon, she has a channel all about, it's called Natural Addiction Recovery, and she actually shares her experience utilizing kratom as a form of maintenance for her sobriety. And so if you guys are on the same journey, or you are like kind of wondering about how that works, Avalon is a great source of information when it comes to kratom and recovery. Now, is this video actually like going out? Because I cannot see it on my screen. What the heck? Hold on, guys. Well, anyways, I guess it's not going out. Can you guys do me a solid? I need you guys to do me a solid. Anybody that's watching this video right now, can you share this video out in your Facebook groups or wherever you can? Share this video for me, please. Hey, Erin. Hey, Cindy. Hey, best friend. That's my best friend. Hey, Mama. What's up, girl? You're welcome, Avalon. I love you. You know, I want to support you. I want to support you and your channel. Congratulations on your new house, Deidre. That's awesome, girl. I'm jealous. I'm so jealous. I cannot wait to get my own house, you guys. Like, this is not my house. This is my mother-in-law's house that I live in. She owns it. Why is this not showing up? This is really making me upset. Oh, I know why. There it is. I was about to say, it is not showing up. I am live, y'all. Thank you, Merk. I see you, Sharon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mama. So we are celebrating today, you guys. We're celebrating my 5-year sober birthday. We are going to celebrate like they usually celebrate at a meeting, and I'm going to share with you guys my story. I know a lot of you guys have heard my story, but if you'll just stick with me, every time I share my story, it's like something that I needed to talk about. It's like God kind of guides me, and it comes out, and it ends up being something that I needed to hear, and that I didn't, like, I don't know how to explain it other than like I'll share it, and then it's like I'll focus on something different each time. And so the story is the same, but it's like different message comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like a different message that is focused on sobriety. So let me go ahead and, can you guys see me, or is it too dark here? I hope you know what? I'm thinking we're going to have to take you guys downstairs so it won't be so dark. What do you guys think? I'm thinking so. Okay, let's get you guys downstairs. Hold on. Oh. Okay. Because I don't have enough light in here, and I don't want it to be dark while I'm talking. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Rosie. What's up, girl? So glad you're here. I'm so glad y'all are all here to spend my recovery birthday with me. Okay, it's so dark in my house, you guys. Don't judge me. Okay. Hold on, you guys. I'm getting a phone call. Zephyr Medical Group, Nicole speaking. How can I help you? Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If you're sending them over to us, what you can do is you can have they can call up to the office, or you can go on our website and they can go ahead and fill out a new patient form and get all their like insurance and stuff uploaded. So that way, that kind of like expedites the process. Well, right now it's kind of like a 2 week. We're kind of out 2 weeks. So if somebody calls or cancels, though, we can, work them in quicker. You can actually give them my personal cell phone number, and I can work with them and try to, see if there's a cancellation and get them in quicker to Dr. B. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Anytime they can call me, and I'm always here to answer the phones. You're welcome. Have a great day. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm going to have to put this phone down and let's get this show on the road. So, all right, there we go. All right, you guys. So we're going to wait until 7 to start. So we got 9 minutes. Hey, guys. Thank you so much to everybody that's here. Thank you for coming and just being a part of this day with me. It means so much to me, you guys. I'm so grateful to be alive and to be sober today. My life is 100% restored. I have a new lease on life, and I am so grateful. I am so grateful. Like, I don't think you guys can. No, I do know you understand. I do know. And I'm sorry I keep saying that. I am so grateful to be alive. I am so grateful to have this chance to be able to share my recovery with all of you. And I will never take this for granted. This channel and you all mean the world to me. You guys have saved my life. And thank you so much for being a part of my recovery. Thank you for helping me stay sober. You all are part of this, and I love you all. Hey, Candy. So, while everybody's chit-chatting, why don't y'all do me a favor? I want to see some sobriety dates. Hey, Grace, how you doing? I want to see y'all. Drop a sobriety date in the comment section below so that way we can show people that recovery is possible. Hey, Amber, what's up, girl? Hey, Donna. Hey, my people. I see everybody in here. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight, we are celebrating my 5-year sober birthday, you guys. Okay, so we got Ashley with 11:25:19. Good job. Grace with 7:4:20. Hell yeah, Grace. 7/4 is my little boy's birthday. Aaron with 4:10:17. Good job. Misty with 6:30:19. Good job, Misty. We got Cindy Briggs with 2/17/2004. Thanks, you guys. Grace, I am so proud of you, girl. I saw you comment on the last Mara meeting, and you were saying that you wanted to start your own Mara meeting, which I think is an amazing amazing idea. And, you know, all you got to do is go to marainternational.org, and you can actually start, let them know that you want to start a meeting, and you can start a meeting in your own town, which is awesome. I love that, you know. That's okay, Grace. You're back on track now. That's all that matters. Candy says, I told you I'd be here 10/12/2018. Good job, Candy. I'm so proud of you too, girl. And I knew you guys would be here. You know what the most awesome thing about today was? I woke up and all of you guys were text messaging me. And I realized, I was like, damn. I have so many people that love me and support me today. I didn't have that when I was in my addiction because I wasn't good to people. I treated other people with disrespect. I wasn't consistent. You couldn't depend on me. I was a liar, I was a cheater, and I was a manipulator. And today, I have turned all those character defects around. And today, I am good to people. And other people are good to me. And you guys show me every day. And it was just like the best feeling in the world to wake up and see all you guys' text messages and congratulations. Like, I cannot even explain it to you guys. There was like 25 or 30 text messages from all of you guys. Like, it was so crazy. I was just like, holy shit. Everybody remembered. Everybody is excited for me. Everybody is proud of me. You know, I can't remember the last time. I remember saying this. I remember saying that I couldn't, like, I remember not remembering the last time my mom or dad said they were proud of me because I had been in my active addiction for so many years. And so now they're proud of me all the time. And it's the best feeling, you guys. And I just want you to know that you can have your family back. You can get your kids. You can have your mom and dad proud of you. Your husband, your wife, your sisters, your brothers. You know, my sisters used to be ashamed to have me around because I was embarrassing, because I was so fucked up I couldn't even keep my eyes open. And now they want me to be there. Now they call me when they're going through a problem and they're struggling. You know, and that used to not be like that. Catherine Gardner, oh gosh, you got me in tears. Congratulations. God bless. My date is 6/22/19. Catherine, that's what's up, girl. Hey, Nikki. I'm so glad you guys are here. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. I'm gonna start the story at 7. And so we're gonna go through my recovery story. And I've been praying. I prayed before I came on this live stream for my higher power to just give me what I need to share with you guys, you know, what I need to convey in this story. You know, I've told my story many times in meetings and here on this channel, and every time it just makes me so happy to tell it, and it makes me happy to see you guys, you know, hearing and knowing that you can relate to somebody else. My favorite meetings are going to speaker meetings so I can hear somebody else's story. And I love it when another woman tells their story because I can relate to a lot of those things. And I know a lot of you ladies have shame and guilt like I do, and beat yourselves up for the things that you did in your active addiction. And I'm the same way, but we're changing our lives today. And so instead of being ashamed, instead of beating yourself up, instead of second guessing yourself, just know that today you're doing the right thing and you're turning your life around. And so I hope that my story and sharing this with you tonight will inspire you like other women inspire me, because I need it. I need it. It fills my cup. Hey, Erin. Thanks, girl. Thank you so much. So y'all knew I told you guys I would be on tonight and that we would be having our recovery support meeting. Hey, K Fraud, what's up, baby? Everybody is welcome in here, and I'm so glad you guys are here. Oh, I'll tell you this. I was getting a comment yesterday from somebody. I guess it's a troll. I'm not sure. Did you guys see the girl who came into the live stream last night and was like saying that I looked like I was still using drugs and all this, that, and third? So I was looking to see who she was, and I have never seen her around here before. She must be new to the channel. But I thought, and then she was commenting on all my videos, calling me a scammer and saying that I'm scamming people. And I was like, what? For what? What am I scamming folks for? Last time I checked, these videos are for free. You know what I mean? Like, there's no scamming going on here. Last time okay, so I even took, just so you guys know, like, I took my my super chat button off because anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you do want to support the channel, there you go. And also here is the Patreon. Okay. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready to hear the story of how my life changed and how I got to where I'm at today? Okay, so we're not going to focus so much on my active addiction, but we're going to focus a little bit on the past because we got to tell about the past to get to where we're at today, right? But I really want to focus on what I've been doing to stay sober and get here. So let's go ahead and start the story time, all right? Welcome everybody to my channel. Thank you so much for being a part of Real Talk Recovery. This is a freaking miracle, okay? I love having you guys here. This channel is literally the best thing that ever happened to me, besides my son being born in my recovery. But here we go. Are y'all ready? Are y'all freaking ready?
On Fortnite, I was just hearing two little kids arguing about chess.
Yeah?
Yeah, and they're trying to get the guns.
Uh-oh. Come give me a kiss.
And someone just murdered me. No.
Aw, man. No kisses for mama? Okay, y'all ready? Let's do this.
More waffles. They taste delicious, and I love them.
No more waffles.
No.
You've had 4 waffles, Nate.
One more.
Okay, after I get done with my story.
Hey, little butthole.
Okay, butthole. Love you too. All right, you guys, here we go. Well, you guys, I'm not going to turn the super chats back on. Like I said, if you want to support my channel, you can always throw out a PayPal donation. Here it is, paypal.me/recovery journey. There you go. Okay. That's how you can support me, is through that PayPal link. All right. I love you guys. So let's do this. Thank you to everybody that's here. This is my recovery story. So first of all, my name is Nicole Pludre, used to be Nicole DeMayo. And I am 38 years old, and my sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. We'll start out, and I'll share with you guys a little bit about how my life was growing up. So for those of you guys that may not know, I am Mexican and Italian. My mom is Mexican and my dad is Italian. And I was born in Long Island, New York. And I didn't live there very long, obviously, or else I wouldn't be having such a country ass accent. But I lived there till I was about 3 or 4. And then my mom and dad relocated to Jacksonville, Arkansas. And that's where they relocated there because both of my parents were active Air Force. Okay. So after we relocated to Arkansas, we moved to Hot Springs, and my mom and my dad had 2 more kids, my 2 sisters. So I am the oldest of 3 girls. It's Nicole, Michelle, and Christine, the DeMayo sisters, the triple D's, baby. And we were wild, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So growing up in Hot Springs, Arkansas, it wasn't too exciting. It was a country town where, you know, everybody knew everybody. Like we all knew each other's business because it wasn't too big of a town at that time. And my mom and dad, they raised us up strict Pentecostal. Okay. Thank you, Paco. So I can remember when I was a little girl, my mom used to sew all of our clothes because my mom is like a whiz on the sewing machine. And so she would sew us little dresses and everything. I remember when I was in third grade, she sewed me the most cute, beautiful little red and white polka dot dress. And I wore that red and white polka dot dress to my first day of third grade. I had my pigtails out like this, long black hair, pigtails going out like that. And I was one of the only kids that wore dresses. See, the kind of religion that my mother started us in was a religion where you couldn't cut your hair, you couldn't wear makeup, you couldn't wear earrings or pants or shorts. You had to wear dresses, and they had to go past your knees and past your elbows. And so it was like old school, like strict kind of Pentecostal religion. So going to school and having to wear dresses, I started to feel insecure. Like I've always felt like I didn't fit in. Okay. And I know you guys probably can relate to this because a lot of addicts and alcoholics feel this way too. But I was always like, just didn't feel like everybody else. I always felt like I was trying to catch up or, be in the crowd, and I wasn't quite getting there. Do you know what I mean? I was really insecure at a young age, and I was unsure because I felt ugly. I felt like everybody else was so much more pretty than me. I felt insecure because of my tan skin, because all my friends were white. And I just didn't understand why I was not white. And I know that might not seem like a big deal now in the world we live in today. But when I was younger, growing up, only seeing kids that were white, I didn't ever see anybody that was like me. I had 2 friends that were Mexican, and there was 2 other kids at our school that were black, but it was just all white kids. Hey, Shelly, love you, girl. And so I felt insecure about my skin color. And then I started getting made fun of. And the kids were calling me taco and burrito and wetback, spick. And when I was a little kid, like this was like till like 6th or 7th grade, I didn't understand, that having tan skin was going to be a great thing and that I would love it when I got older. I was just really insecure about it. And so, luckily, my mom ended up changing religions and we were able to wear pants. And so I think it was like 4th grade when we changed over to a non-denominational religion and we were able to start wearing pants and shorts. And then I could fit in, I could fit in because now I could wear clothes like the other kids. And you guys, when you're growing up and you're young, it's so important to us when we're kids that we fit in with everybody else. And so having to wear dresses and not cut my hair and not able to get my little ears pierced, it really bothered me at a young age. And so when I finally was able to do those things, it catapulted me. I felt so much better about myself. I felt like I started to get my confidence, right? And so in grade school, from like kindergarten to 5th grade, I had a great time. I was a good kid. I didn't get in a lot of trouble. I was outgoing like I am now. And I remember I made a best friend. This girl was my first ever best friend. Her name was Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones had the most beautiful black hair with crystal blue eyes. And we would stay the night with each other. We went out and did stuff together. Our moms and dads let us hang out all weekend long. She would come over to my house. I would go over to hers. We were inseparable. And then I remember in 5th grade, she had gotten diagnosed with leukemia. And she ended up dying. and I was in 5th grade. And I remember her coming to school before she passed away, and her hair was falling out. So she had to wear a baseball cap and a beanie. And other little kids would see that and pick up on it, but I stayed by her side all the time. I've always been like a fixer and somebody that wanted to protect other people. And so when I knew that she was sick, I wanted to protect her. She started missing a lot of school. And I went to stay the night with her because it was her birthday. And I remember staying the night at her house, and her parents were fighting. And I had never been around parents that fought like that. My mom and dad were like legit, really just, they didn't fight, you know. I had never been to somebody's house where their mom and dad fought and you saw it and heard it. And so I remember her crying and being so upset because her parents were arguing. But now that I'm older, I look back on it and I think it was probably because they knew what was coming. You know, I was too young to understand that she was dying. That was my first best friend ever. So she passed away, and I got my tonsils pulled out. And I'll never forget getting those damn tonsils pulled out. I was in 5th grade, and it was like the worst pain. But after they got pulled out, I didn't have strep throat anymore, and because I was getting it a lot. So, as I transitioned from those, elementary to junior high, I was one of those females that, like, I developed really quickly. How many of you girls know what I'm talking about? I got chi-chis and I got my period really early, like in 6th grade, like early. And that's like 11 or 12 years old, just so you guys know. I got my period really early, and I remember it coming, and I was in school, and I was sitting down in the class, and I bled everywhere on my seat. And I was so embarrassed because I didn't really know what was going on, you know? And so luckily, nobody really paid attention. My teacher, I raised my hand, we got it cleaned up, and I was like out of there, right? And went home. But I'm telling you all this for y'all to understand, like, I developed really quickly. I was developed at a young age. And at a young age, I started struggling with my weight. I developed really quickly, and I loved food. My dad, one thing that he would always say to us girls when we were sitting at the dinner table was, manja, manja, eat, eat. He would say, don't leave until your plate's clean. And we had to eat all our vegetables, and my parents were really strict about, us sitting down at the dinner table and having dinner, and, not talking a lot and eating our food and focusing on that. And so we've always been a family that, like, celebrated with food and stuff, my dad's Italian, my mom's Mexican. We love to eat. And so I started struggling with my weight from a really young age. And by the time I was in 5th grade, I was chunky. I was overweight for my age. And that started to really, really play a big role in my insecurity. I was so insecure because I was getting chunky, you guys, and I felt ugly. I hated it. I hated being overweight. I felt disgusting. I felt not beautiful. I felt like nobody wanted to be around me. I hated it. I hated it. At home with my family, my sisters and my mom and dad, life was getting crazy. For those of you guys that don't know, me and my sisters are like 16 months apart. And I'm like 16 months apart from my sister Michelle and then my sister Christine. So I'm 38. Michelle is like 36 and a half, about to be 37. And my sister Christine is 35. So we're like back to back. So growing up, By that time, my sister started struggling really bad. My sister Michelle, the middle sister, with mental illness. And my mom and dad and my family, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know that my sister had mental illness. My dad is old school, and he just thought that my sister was being bad and that she needed to get reprimanded. She needed to get spanked. She needed to get the belt. That's what needed to happen. She needed to get the belt, and then she would shape up. And so back at home, my sister was acting out, and I was going through a lot of changes with my body. I was, getting chunky and feeling very insecure, and it was hard. It was like just growing up as a kid, things were getting hard. I didn't understand, what's going on with my sister. I was struggling with my weight, but all in all, my family was solid. My mom and dad are still married to this day, and they took such good care of me and my sisters, you guys. I never wanted for anything, never. So by the time I hit 8th grade, it was, my 8th grade year, I had signed up for band. And so I played the clarinet, and I also had made the dance team. So for those of you guys that don't know this, I love to dance. I love hip hop. I can shake my ass with the best of them. I love to dance. And so I made the dance team, and I started marching in the band. Okay. And I was good. I was second chair clarinet, and I won competitions dancing. Like I was good. And then I started playing fast pitch softball. So 7th and 8th grade, I had gained a lot of weight. I was feeling really insecure, but I also started to do extracurricular activities. So guess what happened? I lost the weight. And I came to my junior year, or my junior high school, 8th grade, looking so fly. And everybody in school noticed it. It was like going from, my little pudgy, young self to skinny and looking hot. And people were seeing me and saying, "Damn, girl, you look good." Like I could feel it, you guys. Like I looked really good and I felt good. But let me tell you guys how I lost that weight, because this is important for y'all to know. So from 7th into 8th grade, once I made the dance team and I started, marching in the marching band, I went away for summer camp and went to band camp. And while I was going at band camp, I had just finally had enough. You guys, I was losing weight, but it wasn't coming off quickly, and I wanted results. So I started starving myself. And here came my eating disorder. I started just not eating at all. I would eat like a candy bar with a Diet Coke, and I starved myself so much that I would be dizzy, about to pass out. Like it was really bad, but I was starving myself because I felt so ugly, and I hated being overweight. So I lost a bunch of weight, but I started restricting my calories to the point where like I was really, really hungry, and I was like, it was bad. I was struggling. And then I was also doing fast pitch softball and dancing and marching band. So I was burning off these calories and not taking any in. So I was being really, really unhealthy, you guys, and probably putting myself in a lot of danger. But yeah. So in high school, after I made the dance team and I was doing all those extracurricular activities, I started to get my confidence and I started to feel better about myself. And I started dating my first boyfriend. And when I met this guy, I thought he was so cute, but y'all, I look back on it now and I'm like, ooh, what was I thinking? I probably dated him for like 6 months, and then we broke up, and he broke up with me to go out with another girl. And I remember crying and being so upset because I felt rejected. I felt like he was rejecting me and replacing me with a skinnier, prettier girl. And I was so upset. But that was okay. I made it through 8th grade, moved on into my 9th grade year, and that's when I met my second boyfriend, and his name was Robert. And I ended up staying with Robert, you guys, till after I graduated high school. We were together for like 4 or 5 years, maybe, 5 years. And when I met him, he was a year older than me. And I was smitten with him. He was tall, 6'1", brown hair, green eyes, tall, dark, and handsome, baby. And I knew I wanted him to be mine. And so I made him mine. And we started dating and we fell in love. And he was my first love. Like, he proposed to me and asked me to be his, like, he gave me a promise ring and everything. It was pretty funny. But this time from 9th to 10th grade year is when I started getting into shit. So this is where my addiction starts off. So my 9th into 10th grade year, my sister is in 8th grade, and my other sister, Christine, is like in 6th or 7th, right? And so things back at home with my family are getting rockier because my sister Michelle is acting out even more because of her bipolar disorder. But at that time, you guys, we didn't know she was bipolar. So, like I said, my dad just saw it as her acting out. So things are getting bad at the house, and I just wanted to escape. I didn't want to be up in that drama. I didn't want to be around when my sister was making my dad upset, you know? And so I was staying gone as much as possible. I was doing my dance team stuff. I was going and hanging out with Robert. Like, I was really just checking out, you know? I made a lot of really good friends my high school career, and a lot of best friends. But I made one friend in particular. Her name was Nikki Beasley, and she and I were thick as thieves. And we hung out all the time. And then came my friend Leanne. And so all through high school, it was me and Leanne and Jessica and Nikki and Jerry. And Jerry was my best gay friend. And we would go dancing and party all night long. We were wilding, y'all. So here comes the marijuana. It all started out with me drinking alcohol. Once I made the dance team, I started going to parties and stuff. And after those parties, we would have like keg, or after the games, we would have keg parties and stuff out in the country, because that's how they do it here. You get a big ass keg, take it to the middle of a field, start a bonfire, and have a party. And I started drinking. And once I started drinking, that's when I tried smoking pot, which honestly, you guys, smoking pot was never like an issue for me. I mean, I smoked, but I didn't like spend my money on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would just smoke with people if they had it. And once I started smoking, then I met a couple people that were doing cocaine. Okay. And that's the first drug I ever did, was I snorted cocaine. Once I snorted cocaine, then I was introduced to methamphetamine. And I snorted methamphetamine, and I loved it because it gave me so much energy. And it also made me not hungry. So here I am in high school. I'm doing methamphetamine. I'm not eating. I'm staying skinny. Things are going good. I'm happy, right? I'm happy because I'm skinny. I'm happy because I'm hot. I'm getting attention from guys. People are liking me, right? People are saying, wow, look at Nicole. She looks so good. She's on the dance team. She's got a boyfriend. He's older than her. She just got a car. She's driving to school now. Like, I was really like feeling myself, you know? Well, my addiction, like, I automatically, you guys, once I started using stimulants, I went from zero to 60 real fast. Like, overnight, I was using drugs every day. By the time I graduated high school, I was strung out on methamphetamine, and I barely passed my senior year. I passed with all D's. My grandma flew down from California to see me graduate, and I remember my dad was like, she barely made it. She barely passed. She barely passed. And my mom and dad, they knew that something was going on. They knew that I was fucking up. And let me tell you what happened. I was at a game, and I was cheering at a Lake Hamilton High School basketball game. And I was cheering, and I decided to go to this game and cheer drunk off of Seagram 7 and 7-Up. I had no bloomers on underneath my cheerleading outfit, and I was falling all over the place. Well, I was coming down out of the bleachers, and I almost fell on our coach's pregnant wife. They saw me, and the radars were on. My friend Jessica grabbed me, and she said, "Come on, we got to get you out of here. You're going to go to jail." And so they were taking me out. They stopped me. They stopped me at the door, and they said, "Oh, no, ma'am, you're not going anywhere." And I went to jail that night for a public intoxication. Mom and Dad had to come bail me out of jail. I remember they came and got me, you guys, and my dad and my mom were so upset. I had never been in trouble before. I was 17 years old, drunk at a game, and caught a public intox. My dad was so upset, and I was so scared. I knew that they were going to kick my ass when I got in that car. They were so disappointed in me, and the only thing I could do was blame my sister. I remember telling them, "Well, Michelle does meth. Michelle's smoking crack. Michelle's eating cocaine." Because, of course, me and my sister Michelle, we would skip school together and get high together. And so not only was my sister struggling with substance abuse and mental illness, but I was struggling with addiction also. So it was like both me and my sister fed off of each other. And we would get high together, and we would go escape together, and we would blame things on each other. And so my parents just had, it coming from all angles. Now, during all this, my baby sister, Christine, you guys, was such a good kid. And I feel so guilty because I feel like I took a lot of my parents' focus and I put it on myself. And I feel like my sister, Christine, resents me for that. And I feel I of course have made amends to her for that, but I feel guilty because I was acting out, and my sister needed my parents' support, but my parents were so focused on trying to help me and my sister Michelle. So I passed, like I said, I passed my high school year, barely graduated, you guys. It was really bad. And that friend I told you about, Nikki, me and Nikki ended up getting jobs working for J.C. Penney. And we were both using methamphetamine. And at this time, I hadn't really gotten into opiates or anything. I was just doing meth. But my friend Nikki had started shooting oxys. And I remember when she told me that she shot up for the first time, I couldn't believe it because I would never shoot up. I mean, who shoots up? Junkies only shoot up. That's for people that live underneath a bridge, And so I was like, "Girl, I would never do that." And I didn't do it right then. Long story short, me and Robert ended up breaking up. Hey, LT, thank you. Me and Robert ended up breaking up because I was cheating on him. When you're in your active addiction, I'm sure you guys can relate. You don't care about being faithful to your old man. You don't care about at least I didn't, being a good person. I was too focused on getting high and staying high. And so I was cheating on him with everybody. And he ended up dumping me. And I remember when he dumped me, I was so upset. But now I look back on it and I was like, I can't believe he stayed with me for so long. I didn't deserve to. I was not doing good. I was being not good to him. Now, in retrospect, looking back, he wasn't the best to me either. But I started it. So he broke up with me and I got really, really depressed for about a year. But I ended up getting over it, and I found a new boyfriend. Here comes my new boyfriend. Here enters the number 3 boyfriend. This guy that I started dating after Robert, he was a drug addict just like me. His name was LD. And we were both actively in our addictions. And so when we met, we were both high on methamphetamine. What a perfect perfect relationship. 2 tweakers, right? And so we came together as one. It was horrible. It was awful. When I met him, he was homeless. He had nowhere to live. So guess what I did? I said, "You can sleep in my car with me because my parents aren't going to let you live with us." So we slept in my little Ford Focus for a couple nights, and I realized I couldn't have that. That was too much for me. So we moved out of my car into this disgusting 1-bedroom efficiency over on Central Avenue in Hot Springs, Arkansas. When I tell you guys that this place was so nasty, the roaches had roaches. Okay. This was one of those apartments where it was all rooms and you could rent a room by the hour if you needed to. There was people there there was pimps there who had prostitutes. They were selling their ass out of the rooms. People that were smoking and cooking crack in the rooms. It was really bad. Me and LD lived there for 6 months, and my mom and dad came and visited us about 6 months into it, and my dad lost his shit. He was like, I cannot have you living here. And so my mom and dad helped me and LD find our own trailer, and we moved into a trailer, and it was a nice trailer. And I actually started working for the Department of Finance and Administration, which is the revenue office in Arkansas. And so just so you guys know, like all these times I had jobs, but I was still using methamphetamine and pills every day. But I was at that time, my addiction was just getting started. And so I was able to maintain still. I was able to manage the job and the boyfriend and the car payment and the insurance and the rent. I was able to manage all that because things were just getting started. You know what I mean? My addiction was just popping off. Well, we got out of that nasty ass 1-bedroom efficiency, said hasta mañana to the roaches, and got our little trailer. And let me just tell y'all this, that's where the shit started going down. I don't want to talk bad, and I'm not trying to put anything on LD or like defame his name. He's passed away, you guys. Rest in peace. But this relationship was so unhealthy, and it was unhealthy from the beginning. But he started to hit me. And many people warned me about being in a relationship with him. They warned me before we ever started dating. In fact, about 6 months into our relationship, I was driving my car and he was in the passenger seat, and his sister and her boyfriend were in the back seat. And we had been drinking vodka and partying all night long, and he was messing with my radio, and I asked him to stop. Well, long story short, I hit him while we were driving, and he grabbed the steering wheel of my car and threw us into oncoming traffic, and we had a head-on collision. Right then, I probably should have left and realized that this probably wasn't a good relationship for me, but I stayed, and that's when he started hitting me. He split my head open, and I had to get stitches. He hit me with a full sippy cup of milk he threw at me. But here's the thing, you guys. We were in active addiction. We were both using methamphetamine and hardcore opiates. At this time, I had started taking methadone wafers. I was taking Oxycontin, and I was checked out. Like, I was staying high all day, every day. I would go to my job at the revenue office, high on methamphetamine, high on Xanax, high on Oxy. Like, I was full-blown addiction. I was off to the races. Okay. I was really getting bad. And this was in 2001, 2002. Like, this was still 13 years from the day I got sober, because I got sober in 2015. And so our relationship was just fueled by drugs and alcohol. And, I wasn't the best girlfriend, but I never deserved to get hit. And once he started hitting me, I should have left that day, but I didn't know how to leave. I wanted to stay. I wanted to help him. I wanted to fix him. I wanted to change our relationship. I wanted us to be able to be better together. Like, I loved him. You know what I mean? And I was also in love with the idea of fixing him, because at that time he needed help. He was on probation. I helped him pay off his fines. I helped him buy a new car. I think I bought him a new car. And it was a $3,000 car we got from the used car lot. But what I'm saying is, like, I wanted to help him, and I was helping him, and I would see him make changes, and he would do good for a little bit, and then he would fall back. And so, although we were both actively using drugs, like I wanted him to be better, and I tried, but honestly, you guys, you can't help somebody unless they want to be helped. And at this time, this guy, he grew up in that kind of lifestyle. He wasn't like me. He didn't have a good family. His family were all on drugs. His family, you know, were in jail and committed crimes, and so he didn't have like a good upbringing like I did. And so he would beat me, and he put me in the hospital several times. And I finally got away from him because he left me and he never came back. If he hadn't have left me, I probably would have stayed and kept getting my ass beat. But he left me for another girl, and I thank God every day that he did that, because if we had stayed together, he was going to kill me. Like, he was getting worse and worse and beating me worse and worse. So once he left me, I went off the deep end and I went into a deep depression. I lost my job working for the state of Arkansas, and I started injecting methamphetamine. I remember the day that I first injected methamphetamine. I was at my friend Nate's house. He was cooking dope, and him and my friend Tammy were in the back bathroom, and they were shooting up. And they kept coming out of that back bathroom, and they were wild. Their eyes were like, and I was just like, wow, why does everybody look so much higher than I am? Well, now I knew. It was because they were higher than me. It was because they were spun and done. See, the way I did methamphetamine was I had always smoked it, snorted it, and done hot rails. Sometimes I would put it in my coffee and drink it, but I mean, for the most part, I was snorting it and smoking it. So I had never shot up. I had never even held a needle in my hand. I wouldn't even know what to do with it. Well, that night, I had been, like I said, depressed that me and LD were broken up. I had already been kicked out of all my families. They didn't want me around. I had lost my trailer because, of course, me and LD weren't living together anymore, so I couldn't pay rent. I couldn't pay for my car payment. My dad had to take that over. It was going to get repoed if he didn't. And so I lost it. I didn't have anything. All I had was my car, and I was sleeping and living with the dope cook. So I walked back there and I said, hey, man, fix it up. Give me some. Give me some of that. Right? And so they laced me up a 40 unit bump. And I will never forget this, because that 40 unit bump was the color of this. It was like this amber, like this orangey, syrupy color in the syringe. And I put my arm out and they did it. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, that is the reason why I stayed out in my addiction for so many years, because I was chasing that feeling for the rest of my life. The rest of my life, I was chasing that shot. When they shot me up with that dope, God forgive me, please. If you have kids, please take them away from the screen right now. When that shit entered my bloodstream, I felt the heat go up my arm, up my neck, into my cheeks. My ears started ringing. My heart rate increased like that. And I had an orgasm. Straight up. And we went on a whole sex thing for the next couple hours, a crazy sexcapade. And then I locked myself in the bathroom and was teaching myself how to shoot up. And by the end of that evening, I knew how to shoot up, and I never looked back. I never looked back. And once I learned how to shoot up, you guys, I lost everything I lost everything. I lost my job. I lost everything. I was shooting up cocaine. I was shooting up methamphetamine. I was shooting up anything that I could put into a syringe. I was shooting it up. I got, like I said, I got fired from the revenue office. I was working at Sonic. I got fired from Sonic for nodding out in the chili. I was making chili dogs, and I was sitting there with my fingers in the chili, nodding out. So I was strung out, and I was hurting. I was sad. I was depressed. I felt like I didn't have anybody that loved me. I was so sad that this guy had left me, but I also knew that he wasn't good for me. But I needed somebody else to love me because I didn't love myself. I needed to have someone else around me to make me feel good about myself because I hated myself. I had been using drugs since I was 17, and by this time I was like 23. And so I did not love myself. And so having somebody else there made me feel good about myself. And so all I did was live with dope cook after dope cook after dope cook, shooting dope. Shooting dope, selling dope, trading dope, riding around with dope boys. And it was bad. My sister Michelle ended up having a little boy, and his name was Nick, and I was an auntie, and I was so excited. But I was running the streets. I couldn't even focus on celebrating things with my family. I couldn't even go around them because I was so spun out. I ended up like losing a bunch of weight. I was looking horrible, you guys. And I remember um like finally just like knowing that I needed to get help, but I just didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? So I started reaching out to my friends, and my friend Nikki let me come and live with her for a little bit. And I was trying to sober up on my own. I was really trying to do it on my own, but I couldn't, you guys. So I went into treatment for my first time. When I went to treatment for my first time, and I met Missa. Missa, if you're still in here, I love you, girl. I met Missa, and I gave it a good college try, but I came out of treatment, and about 30 days later, I relapsed, and I was back at it again. And that's when I got my charge. I ended up catching a Class C felony, possession of a controlled substance, methamphetamine. Um, I was driving in my car. Actually, the dope cook was driving. The dope cook was driving my car, and we had just got done selling somebody some meth, and they set us up. And I went to jail that night, bonded out, ended up going to court, getting put on probation for 3 years. And I stayed on probation for 1 year. I failed all my drug screens except for the first one. They sent me to rehab once while I was on probation, trying to get me to get sober and stay sober. I came out, relapsed, and then they revoked me and sent me to prison. All during this time that I was on probation, you guys, I was so spun out. I was trying to this was my whole rationale. So I know that I cannot go into this probation officer spun out on meth. So I need to figure out another drug that I can do so that way I can handle this, right? I decided I was going to start drinking. I said, I can just drink some alcohol, right? I started drinking. I wake up in the morning, drink. Go to lunch, drink. Go to sleep, drink. I turned into a full-fledged night and day alcoholic within 3 months. I got a job waiting tables. Everything I did was around alcohol. I started bartending, alcohol, cocaine. And that's what I was doing, drinking and shooting cocaine. And of course, I was failing drug tests. And that's when I got sent to prison. There's so many stories I can tell you guys of things that happened while I was doing all this madness. I was shooting cocaine, working for Rolando's, this amazing restaurant in Hot Springs. And I was shooting cocaine up on the patio behind the bar. Okay. I ate so many Xanaxes one night, I fell asleep in my car outside of my job, and they found me out there. Like this, when I tell you that I was so fucking out of it, I was always high. And everybody knew it. My whole town knew I was strung out. Like I wasn't hiding it. I was spun and done like all day, every day. Okay. So it was not a secret. They would, everybody, and people would try to help me. Like the owners of Rolando's, They gave me a job and they were trying to help me. They even offered to send me to rehab, but I couldn't get it together. You know why they offered though? Because I was a good worker, you guys. Even though I was high, I worked my ass off. I've always had a solid work ethic. I've always been somebody who would get in and do the job and get it done. Just like here on my channel, I get shit done, right? I've always been like that. I've always been raised up to be a hard worker and stuff like that. So I've always been able to get jobs and excel at my jobs and get promoted at my jobs. When I got the job working for Rolando's, I started out as just a waitress. I ended up bartending and being the assistant manager of the restaurant. I mean, I was killing it, you guys. I was killing it in my jobs. But behind the scenes, I was strung out. And it was coming into my jobs. People were seeing it because I was at my job high. Now, after LD had broken up with me and I was working for Rolando's and I had caught my Class C felony and I was going to go away to prison, I was seeking for love in all the wrong places. I was seeking men. I would just go and stay the night with men, have sex with them, take a whore's bath in the sink, go on to the next one. Like I was just seeking that validation from men and sleeping around and just not caring about myself, not caring about anything except for getting drugs and having sex. I got locked up, went to prison for a year. When I came out of prison, I had gained all the weight that I had worked so hard to get off of me when I was younger, remember? And I had gotten up to 210 pounds. When I came out of prison, I was so depressed that I had gained so much weight because you remember, that really bothers me. And you guys know how I feel about my weight now. But I love myself. Today, I love myself. And today I know, even though I'm a thick soul sister, I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful because I'm beautiful on the inside. So, I came out of prison, 210 pounds, and let me just give a big shout out to my mom and my dad. They came to visit me every fucking Saturday. I remember the first day my dad came to visit, and we were sitting down and we were crying. And they were just telling me that they love me and that they wanted me to get it this time. Please to get it this time, not to go back to my addiction. My dad would always say, "Why can't you just stay sober? Why can't you just stay sober, Nicole? Why can't you just quit?" And I could never explain it to him why I couldn't just quit. Like I was trying to find the words for it because I did just want to quit, but I also couldn't explain why I couldn't. So they visited me every Saturday, you guys. I did fine in prison. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't anything that I didn't struggle. I didn't get into a lot of arguments or fights with any of the girls. I minded my business and did what I had to do, and I got out. When I got out of prison, I was paroled out to a halfway house here in Little Rock. So remember, I was living in Hot Springs. That's where I grew up. When I paroled out to the halfway house in Little Rock, the reason why I paroled out is because my parole officer wouldn't let me come back to Garland County. She said, "You are not coming back here. You're not allowed to come back here." So I had to parole out to a different part of Arkansas. And so I paroled out to a halfway house in Little Rock. And that's when I met Kim Blackshire. Now, this woman, Kim, she is the realest motherfucker you will ever meet, you guys. She was my counselor at this halfway house. She was one of the first ladies that ever just really inspired me. Like, she was sober. I knew if she could do it, then I could do it. You know what I mean? And so I came in there, I paroled out. I had all of the intentions of staying sober. I started going to meetings. I got a sponsor and I started working the 12 steps. So this is my third time in a treatment program. Okay. So I'm living there. I'm working the steps. I get a job. And I start working for Kroger, which is a huge grocery store chain, and they have amazing opportunities. So I started working for Kroger, and within about 5 months, I got promoted to assistant deli manager, and I was doing so good, you guys. And guess what happened? I let that job take precedent over my recovery, and I relapsed. But I caught myself and I said, I don't want to go. I don't want to stay out. Right. So I reached out to Kim and she said, okay. And I went to treatment at RCA. So this is my 4th time in rehab. I went to treatment at RCA. I did my 30 days and I came back to the halfway house and started fresh. At this time, I was able to stay sober for 9 months. I stayed sober for 6 months in the halfway house, and then I graduated to my own apartment, which the apartments were attached to, like, it was still supervised living, but it was your own apartment. It was pretty badass. I was so excited. My mom and dad brought my car to Little Rock, so I was able to have my vehicle, and things were really looking up. I still had my job working for Kroger because they saved my job for me. And I was doing it. I was doing good, you guys. Well, I was doing good. And I was working away. And I ended up relapsing. I relapsed with my neighbor. For those of you guys that don't know, this girl was a very good friend to me. Her name was Ashley. Rest in peace. She ended up passing away 2 years ago. But I relapsed on oxys. And that's when I started shooting oxys. Now, I had always used opiates in my addiction. But yeah, I hid that Anton Rice guy, you guys, because if you don't see, his profile picture was a penis. So be on the lookout, mods. So I ended up relapsing and shooting oxy, and I started shooting oxys, and that's when my addiction went from like shooting methamphetamine and stimulants and popping pills to shooting opiates. And when I started shooting opiates, it was like my addiction took a whole new beast, because now I am like needing to shoot opiates every day to function. You know what I mean? At the time, I had been bouncing back and forth between like taking them every now and then and shooting methamphetamine. And now I'm shooting opiates every single day. Well, I ended up getting kicked out of my apartment because I had to be sober to live there. You know what I mean? I had to be sober to live there. And so I ended up getting kicked out. Now, Miss Kim, my counselor, you guys, she gave me chances. I ended up moving in with her daughter because we were really good friends. Shout out to you, girl. Shout out to Brittany. She helped me when I had nowhere to go. And she let me move into her apartment in her spare bedroom, and she looked after me. And I was in full-fledged active addiction. Shooting oxys, smoking crack, doing all kinds of dirt. And I ended up meeting this guy named Joe. Shout out to Joe if you're watching this. And I ended up meeting this guy named Joe, and we ended up starting to date. And I really, really liked this guy, you guys. And he ended up getting locked up, but he got out, and we were dating. But again, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I started dating this guy. I'm shooting meth and shooting oxys, strung out, working at Kroger still, trying to hang on for dear life, right? And I need a boyfriend, right? And so I didn't know how to love myself. I couldn't stay sober. I couldn't do anything. So I was strung out, you guys. And bless his heart, Joe knew that, and he saw me going downhill fast. And he tried to tell me, like, Nicole, you need to get sober. Nicole, you need to make a change, right? But I was just gone. I was gone. So here enters my second stay in RCA. So I go back to RCA. I stay there for 30 days, and I come out and I relapse straight off. I had given up. I had given up, and I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to get high. I'm going back to what I know. And so I just said, fuck it. I was working at Kroger, and I was having to shoot oxys in the morning when I got up, during my lunch break, and when I got off. Like, it was all day, every day. Yes, I shot heroin, but here where I lived at that time, 5 years ago, heroin wasn't really around. You could buy these little capsules with this, like, I guess it was powder heroin, but I've never seen black tar. I've only shot this, like, it's like this white, off whitish color, tan color heroin in a little capsule that you would buy it in a capsule. It was $30 for that capsule. And so everything I did was Roxy's. I shot Roxy 30s. And so once I started shooting Roxy's, you guys, I was also taking Xanax. So I was waking up in the hospital because I would overdose all the time. I have been overdosed in the hospital so many times that I have literally so many hospital bills that the state of Arkansas just takes my state income tax because of all of my hospital bills from overdosing. I'll tell you about the last time that was really, really bad, and then I want to tell you guys about my sobriety, okay? The last time I shot up dope, methamphetamine, and oxy, I ended up putting myself in a 7-day coma. And I had been up for about 7 to 10 days with no sleep, no eating anything. I think I was like drinking Mountain Dew. Still had my job. And I went into my job and I was hallucinating so bad that they sent me home. They sent me home, and instead of going to like somebody's house that could take care of me or help me, I went to my friend Gerald's house, who is also somebody who shot dope. And we went and we shot dope all night. Well, that night I had been up for so many days and I wanted to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I was falling apart, you guys. I was just so bad. My friend gave me a Seroquel and said, "Here, take this. This will help you go to sleep." Well, that Seroquel didn't help me go to sleep. It just pushed me farther into my hallucination. And I went walking down the road in Southwest Little Rock. And that's when the police came. I told the story on Lockdown 23 and 1. That's when the police came and they called an ambulance. And because my mom and dad told them to call the ambulance, because they called my parents from my cell phone. And I went to the emergency room and I went into a coma. I could tell you all the stuff that happened, but a lot of you have heard the story. But let's just say this. I was hallucinating so bad that I was fighting the emergency room staff. I thought there was frogs all over the wall. I thought that people were there from my job that were standing there smoking crack and blowing the crack smoke in my face. I thought my boss, Miss Brewer, shout out to you, Miss Brewer. Just talked to her on the phone. She called me today to check on me. I thought Miss Brewer was there smoking crack and blowing it in my face. I was out of my damn mind. And I went into a coma because my internal organs were shutting down. My internal organs were shutting down, and yeah, I went into a coma. And my mom came down to the hospital and stayed by my side the whole time. And when I woke up, she was there. And she looked at me and she said, "Do you know how long you've been here?" And I was like, "No, why?" And she was like, "You've been in a coma for 7 days, Nicole." And at that moment right there, I should have thought, I need to get help. But all I could think about was how I wanted to get out of that damn hospital bed so I could go get some dope, because I needed to get high. Because I needed to get away from these feelings that I was feeling. The feeling of hating myself, the feeling of disappointing my family, because that's all I ever did, because I was always fucked up and all I thought about was my damn self. And so I needed to escape and get out of that situation. My mom was worried because they didn't know where my car was at. We ended up going and getting my car and finding it. And my parents really wanted me to get help and get into treatment and get better. And I told them I would, and to get them off my back. And then they left and went back to Hot Springs, and I kept getting high. And I got to the point, you guys, where I had nowhere to go. I was sleeping on a couch at this guy named Lawrence's house, this old man, and I ended up losing my job. Well, let me slow down. 2012, I was living with my friend Kaylee, and I was sleeping on her couch. That was my bedroom. We would always joke about how the living room was my bedroom. And the trade-off was I lived there and babysat her daughter and paid half their rent. And yeah, we worked it out. And they gave me a ride to work every day at Kroger. Well, one night we were having a house party, and in came my little ginger, my beautiful husband, Neil. And I remember when Neil walked through the door, I looked at his little face and I thought, ooh, he's so fine and I'm going to marry him. No, I didn't think that. But I thought he's so cute and he had such like an exciting, like he was happy and he was happy to like be alive and he was happy to be there with me. Right. And he was like, hey, my name's Neil. And I said, my name's Nicole. And we, got to know each other. And we ended up never leaving each other's side from that day. But little did I know that Neil had the same kind of addiction as me. We were both opiate addicts, and we both were shooting methamphetamine. Only at that time, Neil was in a MAT treatment program. He was on methadone. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say it was like a MAT treatment because he was just getting a prescription for methadone. He wasn't required to go to any meetings or anything. So I think that he was basically just getting the prescription, but he was on methadone and he was managing his life. He was working full time, and he was doing pretty good. And he could take methadone, you guys, and it didn't make him all fucked up. But I realized that he had methadone, and he started giving his methadone, and I quickly got strung out on his methadone, and I was using it to get high. I was abusing it. And then Neil started taking Xanax and abusing that with his methadone. And we started shooting meth together, and we went off the deep end into full-fledged active addiction together. And we were strung out so bad. Okay? We were strung out so bad together. And I remember meeting his family and his mom and his dad and being so mad because I didn't understand why they didn't like me. But when I tell you guys that I was so strung out on methadone, that my hair was falling out. I had a huge bald spot right here, this big on my head, bald down to the scalp, nothing there, because my hair was falling out because I was shooting so many drugs and I wasn't eating and I wasn't sleeping. I was knocking on death's door. I looked like a walking skeleton. Somehow, I ended up getting pregnant. And that's when my life changed forever. I got pregnant with my son and I gave birth to him July 4th of 2014. And when I gave birth to my son, I was high as hell on methamphetamine. I had been up for days. And I knew that they were going to take my son from me. I just knew they were. And I was scared to fucking death. They didn't take Nathaniel. He didn't test positive for any drugs. Nothing. I had taken Xanax, methadone, and I had been shooting meth for 3 days. And nothing was in his system. This was the first time that a miracle happened in my life that I could see and that I knew that was a miracle. And I knew something was going on. And I knew that God was trying to wake me up. I knew that he was trying to make me change. He was trying to get me to change. I was so strung out. I look back on pictures from when I was giving birth to my son, and I'm just so embarrassed, you guys, because I know how bad I was. I know how strung out I was. And my son did not deserve that. He did not deserve that. I should have been better to him. I should have took care of him. And I'm not making excuses. Like I'm telling you guys, I was getting high the whole time I was pregnant. But I want you guys to hear me out. I love my son. Today I'm a good mom. But when I was in active addiction, I could not choose my son over drugs. Drugs chose everything for me. I could not choose anything else. It was like I was possessed by the devil because I love my son more than anything. I love him more than anything. So when people say things like, oh, you're a piece of shit mom, or who would actually do that? Who would use drugs and choose drugs over their son? I did. I chose drugs over my son. But it wasn't me choosing that. And that's what I need people to understand. I was not who I am today. I was not the person I am today. I was possessed. I was possessed by drugs. And those drugs made that choice for me. I tried to sober up when I got pregnant with my son. And I would do well for a couple weeks, maybe even make it a month or two. And then I would relapse throughout my whole pregnancy. And so I should have reached out for help. I should have went and gotten put on Suboxone. I should have reached out to the doctor and told them that I was struggling with the disease of addiction. But I didn't. I was ashamed and I was embarrassed. And I thought that if I told anybody, that my child would get taken from me. And so I didn't tell anybody. If I had told somebody and got help, I probably would have been sober the whole time. I probably would have not had to worry about that. But I was too ashamed and I didn't. And I put my child's whole life at risk. I could have killed my son. I could have killed my own son. I could have killed him inside of me. That's why when I tell you guys that my son saved my life, like I don't think you guys, he saved my life. He saved my life. I wish that I had pulled my head out of my ass while I was pregnant and reached out to the doctor and told them I was struggling. If you are struggling with addiction and you're using and you're pregnant, I will help you. I will help you reach out to your doctor. I can call them and we can go on a conference call together and I will help you talk to them. Please don't do what I did because my son could have died. I could have killed my son because of the drugs I was using. And he also could have gotten taken away from me right then. But let me tell you, okay? So God performed a miracle that day. And I was able to leave with my son after I think 2 nights. I stayed 2 nights in the hospital, because they had to sew me up because when I was pushing him out, I had split down there, and they were just monitoring me. And so I ended up taking my little boy home, and I remember saying to Neil, like, this is it. Like, I'm not getting high anymore. Like, I got to make a change. I got to make a change. I cannot do this to myself. I can't do this to our son. And I remember meaning that with every fiber of my being. And I made it a good 90 days and I relapsed on the needle. And I started shooting meth. And then I started shooting oxys. And then I was just shooting everything. My husband was trying to go to work and work a job and take care of our family. And I was leaving the house and not coming back for days and leaving our son with my mother-in-law. And I was going and I was being strung out on methamphetamine and oxy. A year went by. A whole year went by and I was just strung out. And my husband had relapsed with me too. So we were both strung out, leaving our son with my mother-in-law and just being irresponsible. And 2 days before that year was up, Child Protective Services came to my door, and I had to turn my son over to them. They came to my door, left a note. I saw the note. I called my husband. I called my father-in-law and told him what was going on. And I went down there and I submitted to a drug screen. And when I submitted to a drug screen, I failed for opiates and benzos. And they put an order of protection in for my son. And then they came and drug screened my husband. We were not husband and wife yet. And we both failed, and they took my son. I had to hand my son over to a complete stranger. We wanted my son to go with my mother-in-law, but they wouldn't let my son go with her, because they said she was too old. So he had to go to a stranger. That day that I gave him over, you guys, like, I didn't waste any time, because I had been to treatment like 5 times. I had been to prison. I knew that I needed to get help. I knew how to go and get the help. I just didn't know how to apply it in my life. So that day that I gave my son over to the strangers, I went to detox that day. I went to detox that day, and I detoxed for 5 days. And they were going to let me leave on Sunday. And I said, no, you cannot kick me out of here. I can't leave here unless I'm going straight into treatment. And so they let me stay 1 extra day. Shout out to April if you see this video, because she's on my Facebook. Thank you for letting me stay an extra day. Because if I had left that detox that day, I would have gotten high. So she let me stay an extra day, and I went into treatment at Oasis Renewal Center. And I got there, and I was so dramatic. I was crying and screaming and yelling and upset, and they put me in my place real quick. I remember walking into group, and I said, I'm a good mother, yada, yada, yada. And the counselor sat me down. Her name was Miss Rita, and she said, no, you're not a good mom. You haven't been a good mom, because good mothers don't shoot dope while they're pregnant. Good mothers don't use drugs and alcohol while their children need to be cared for. Good mothers don't put their children in harm's way, in compromising situations. And she was right. I wasn't being a good mother. I wasn't present in my son's life. Drugs and alcohol were more important to me than being a mom. And I put drugs and alcohol in front of my son. I stayed in treatment, and the first 2 weeks I was there, y'all, I was hustling, bustling. I had my husband sneaking Xanaxes in the treatment center for me, so I was getting high off those Xanaxes, and they caught on, and they caught me. They caught me, and they were going to kick me out. And for some reason, they gave me a second chance, you guys, and they did not keep me out. They did not kick me out, and I'm so, so grateful that they didn't kick me out, because I don't know what would have happened if they had kicked me out. Well, I do. I would have gotten high. So they gave me a second chance, and I stayed the other 2 weeks. And when I came out of treatment, I had 2 weeks sober. And Neil picked me up, and I was so happy to be out, you guys. I was so happy to see him. I was hugging him and kissing him and loving him. And I was just happy to get to work and find and get my son back. I was happy to get out and do everything that they told me I needed to do. But I was also really freaking scared, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to be a mom sober. I didn't know how to not shoot dope. And so I got out of treatment, and I was struggling, you guys. I was struggling. And I reached out for help from the doctor that was at the treatment center. He was the psychiatrist that worked there. His name was Dr. Mancino. And I remember the first interaction I had with Dr. Mancino. He pissed me off so bad, because he told me about myself. He told me, that what I was doing was wrong, and that I needed to make a change. And so I didn't like that. That's one thing that I didn't like, when people would tell me about me, because I didn't want to hear what I was doing. I wanted everybody to act like I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wanted all the pity. I wanted all the condolences. Oh, you're such a good person. Oh, you're such a good mom. You lost your son. I wasn't being a good mom. You guys, I wasn't. And that was a reality check for me. I didn't want reality checked. I didn't want people to tell me the truth. I didn't want to hear it, you know? Well, I reached out to the doctor because I was struggling and I didn't want to relapse. And I knew if I relapsed, you guys, that here's the thing. After sneaking drugs into the treatment center and them knowing that I had been to prison and had been to treatment 5 other times, Child Protective Services was not playing games with me. And they told me if I relapsed again, they were going to fucking terminate my rights. And so I knew that I couldn't be relapsing. It was not an option while my son was in treatment, in care. So I went and I got put on Suboxone. I had 2 weeks sober and I got put on Suboxone. And I remember the first time I took it, it put me to sleep. I was automatically asleep. But after about 3 days of being on it, I felt regular and I was no longer craving the opiates. I was no longer craving to get high, right? But that didn't change everything for me because I still was wanting to get high on meth. I still wanted to take Xanax. I still wanted to shoot cocaine. I still wanted to get high on other drugs. I just wasn't fiending out for opiates. And so I thought, well, okay, I've got this helping me, but I need to do something else. And so I went to an AA meeting and I got a sponsor and I started working the 12 steps. And I started working the 12 steps for real. And as I worked the 12 steps, as I worked with my sponsor, as I went to meetings, my life started getting better. And it started getting to a point where I didn't want to get high on meth anymore. And I didn't want to get high on cocaine anymore. And I didn't want to eat a Xanax. And a year went by, and within 10 months, I got my little boy back, and he came home. I remember the day that he came home, you guys. It was the best day of my life. Now you have me and Neil. We're both sober, and we got our son back, and we're able to start and be a family. You know what I mean? And I was so proud of my husband because he was working so hard and he was doing the right thing and he was staying sober. And our son was back home and we were able to start our lives for real together as a family. But that first year was crucial for me. I went and I got all the help I could. I was in therapy. I was going to meetings. I had a sponsor. I was in group meetings online with other women because I had joined a bunch of Facebook groups that were all about recovery. But I was just listening and I was just staying connected and I was staying with these other people because I needed support and I needed help. And that first year, I made it, and I was so happy when I made my first year. We went to New York to see my mom and dad, and they were so happy to see me and see me sober, see me sober and to see me happy and see me doing well. I was able to get a job in my first year sober, and I was able to, like start working on things that I had not worked on in years. But yeah, that first year was detrimental. Like I had to get it together that year. And honestly, you guys, Suboxone saved my life in that way because it really helped me to have something to fall back on. And now I'm celebrating 5 years sober and I'm only on 1 milligram of Suboxone and I'm doing so good. Like I feel great. But I have got to tell you guys, like, getting Nathaniel taken away from me was the wake-up call that I needed to change my life. But there was so much more to getting sober than just stopping drugs and alcohol. I had so many bad habits and things that I had to change in my life. I used to struggle so much with stealing. I would walk into a store and my hands would just go on everything and I would just take it. And so when I got sober, I had to relearn how to live my life without stealing and lying and cheating. The first 3 sponsors I had, Miss Kathy, Christy, and Jean. Those 3 ladies saved my life, and they helped me so much because they helped me how to learn to be a good person. They helped me how to not steal. They helped me how to learn how to open my own bank account and save money. You guys, like everything. Like I didn't know how to do any of that. I didn't know how to do any of it. I learned how to live my life sober and have sober friends. I'm going to tell you, making it that first year, after that, I knew I was going to make it. I knew I was going to make it from that day forward. Once I hit my year, I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I cried so much my first year sober. I still cry all the time, but I cried so much because I was so afraid. I didn't want to lose my son to DHS. I didn't want to lose my life, but I didn't want to lose my son. Like, I love my son, you guys, so much, so much. You know what I mean? I'm so grateful that he saved my life. I'm so grateful that he was born because not only did he save my life, but my husband. We have been able to stay sober. You know, in between that time, my husband had a couple relapses after he hit 2 years sober and he had his first relapse. And I'm not making excuses for him, but he lost his dad. His dad passed away, and he was really going through a hard time just trying to figure out who he was sober. And I was experiencing the same struggles because I had never been sober and like lived life without drugs and alcohol. And so I have struggled finding myself and figuring out what I enjoy sober and what I like to do. And a lot of you guys have been here to see that, to see me struggling with finding out how to live my life healthy without drugs and alcohol. Because one thing that I've struggled with is food addiction. And you guys have heard that all through my story. Like eating has always been something that I used to cope, you know? And so you guys have gotten to see me struggling with trying to find balance in my life with food. And but one thing I can tell you guys is that, like, I don't have to use drugs. Okay? I might struggle with being a fat girl and eating too much food. I might struggle with having disagreements, having getting into it with my husband or having somebody online that doesn't like me with some drama or something. But one thing that I do not have to do, and I have learned through my recovery and through working with others and through going to meetings and Mara meetings with all of you guys, AA meetings, all the meetings and all the therapy and all the other addicts and alcoholics that have been sober that have been with me to help guide me. I don't have to use drugs to cope with shit. I don't have to get high to block out pain anymore because I'm not hurting myself anymore. I'm not doing things that are dishonorable anymore. I use drugs because I was hurting on the inside. I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I was doing dirt. So I would use drugs and alcohol to block it out. And now I don't have to do that. And I don't care what anybody says. Like, I can go get high today if I want to get high. I can go out and shoot methamphetamine today and get spun and done. I can go out today and pop a Xanax bar or 7 and drive my car into a brick wall. But the difference between today and back then, I don't want to get high today. I don't want to check out of life today. I want to be present. I want to be alive. I want to be here with you guys. Suboxone doesn't keep me from getting high. Suboxone doesn't stop me from doing any of that. Okay? I can get high tomorrow or today, right now, if I want to, you know? So for anybody out there who is listening to this story who maybe they judge people who are on maintenance medication, or they think because somebody's on maintenance that they're not sober. Take several seats. Okay. I've worked my ass off to get to where I'm at today. And like I said, if I want to go get high on methamphetamine or any drug, fentanyl, I can go shoot some right now and be high as hell. I don't want to be high today. I don't want to check out of life today. I want to be present. And I never wanted that before because I was not happy, because I was hurting and I hated myself, because I was insecure. But today, I'm happy. Today, I love myself. Today, I'm doing things to help others, and that helps me build self-esteem and self-confidence. I'm taking care of my son and my husband and in my home today, and that helps me to be a better person. And I want to be alive and present in the world today. Do you know what I'm saying, you guys? So, anyway, I just wanted to share with you guys like a little bit. That's my story. But the beautiful thing about it is I want to be sober today. And when I first, started out, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to be sober. I didn't know if I wanted to, be in recovery. And I was just barely making it. Hey, Camila, I got you, girl. I was just barely making it, But today I want to be in recovery, and today I don't want to get high anymore. And so it's all because of you guys and working my sobriety, you know what I mean? And it's changed my life forever, and being a part of this and having Real Talk Recovery, it's the best thing. I love it so much, and I want to continue like helping others, and I want to continue advocating for medically assisted treatment. I want to continue, you know, stomping out the stigma surrounding Suboxone and other MAT treatments, because it's a misconception. A lot of people just don't understand. And so I want to keep helping you guys and give voice to people who maybe are ashamed or embarrassed. Like, that's why I started this channel, because I'm going to speak out for people who are voiceless. And so for those of you guys that have felt like your recovery is not valid, or that you're not sober because somebody told you that, I'm here to tell you that all that shit is bullshit. I'm here to tell you that your recovery is valid, and you're kicking ass and taking names, and you are doing the right thing for you. And that's all you can do, is do what's right for you. Every person is different, and what works for one person might not work for the other person. But I am hell bent and dead set on continuing this story and helping people understand, that Suboxone can save your life. And there are so many people out there that are struggling with opiate addiction who were made to feel ashamed or embarrassed because they were reaching out for help. Hey Danielle, hey girl, hey. Sorry, I saw those black hearts. I want you guys to not ever feel like you're less than, and that you're not doing the right thing for you, and that you got to just keep on doing what you're doing, and so just keep pushing forward. Don't let anybody ever judge you. Now, I see somebody talking about Suboxone getting you high. The only way Suboxone gets you high is if you don't have an opiate tolerance, if you're opiate naive. If you don't take Suboxone every day as it's prescribed, and you skip let's say you took Suboxone on Monday and you skipped Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Once Suboxone leaves your system and you reintroduce it to somebody that has no opiates in their system, it will produce a euphoria. It could be considered as tired, lethargic, but that's what will happen. Once the medication is in your system, has reached a ceiling effect, it will no longer produce any kind of feeling. So there's no such thing as taking too much Suboxone or taking more Suboxone to get you high. Because the more you take, the more it builds up on your receptor and the more you're not going to feel anything. If you are skipping and manipulating and diverting your dose, then yes, you can do that. But hopefully people aren't doing that. You know what I mean? Hopefully nobody's doing that. As long as you are taking that medication as prescribed, you guys, that's another thing. Taking Suboxone as prescribed is sober, okay? So many people have to take medications in their recovery. And when you take a medication that's prescribed to you as prescribed, you're sober. So I just want people to understand that it can save your life. If you're out there and you're on heroin right now and you've been shooting heroin and you don't see any way out and you're struggling, like I'm telling you, I was ashamed to get on Suboxone. I was embarrassed. I thought that I thought so many bad things because of what other people would tell me and the judgment of others and the bad misinformation of others. And I almost didn't get on Suboxone because I was embarrassed and I was ashamed, you know? And if you're on heroin and you're in your active addiction or any opiate and you cannot get sober and you've tried everything like I had tried, you guys just heard it in my story. You know what I mean? I had tried to get sober for so many years. You know what I mean? PFLAW. I think that's PFLAW says, as someone who's been on buprenorphine for 6 years, I was surprised to see people in jail and prison actually overdosing on it. So that's what happens is these are people who have no opiate tolerance. They're just taking it and they're probably combining it with other things. And I have to tell you guys, I had taken Suboxone many, many years ago, probably like 11 years ago, like 2000 something, 2005 or 6. And it made me so sick because I had opiates in my system, so I probably went into precipitated withdrawal. But it was awful. I thought I was going to die. But this is the thing. I know not everybody not everybody needs to get on Suboxone, right? I know that. I know it may not be good for everybody, right? But if I know that this medication can save your fucking life. Like I will scream it from the rooftops. I could not stay sober. I was relapsing all the time. I was knocking on death's door. I have been raped in my addiction. I have been held at gunpoint, held hostage. I have fucking drove my car into brick walls. I have been in comas. I have died in my addiction. And I am living proof that maintenance medication, therapy, and a recovery program can literally change your life. If you put in 100% effort and you work your recovery and you get on a maintenance medication, you will be a new person. I am not the Nicole I was in active addiction. I am not that person anymore. I have changed my life. I have turned my whole life around. And so I get so upset because I've been seeing stuff on Facebook lately, you guys. I have to tell you, Facebook is so toxic. I have been seeing stuff on Facebook where people say things like, you're still in active addiction if you're on Suboxone. And you might as well be taking heroin if you're on Suboxone. And I cannot tell y'all how fucking mad that makes me because that's bullshit. That is bullshit. It's nothing like being on heroin. I could not have my family if I was on heroin, okay? I couldn't do any of the things that I'm doing today if I was still in my active addiction. When people say stuff with active, like about us being in active addiction and being on Suboxone, it really, really makes me so mad, you guys, because there is a huge difference between active addiction Nicole and Nicole right now. Yes, I am dependent on a medication. I am dependent on many medications. I am dependent on Suboxone, Wellbutrin and Lexapro. And all those medications are prescribed by a physician, and I take them as prescribed. You know, my life is 100% different than it was when I was in my addiction. I would never, ever hurt or harm anybody or do the things that I was doing when I was in my addiction. You know, I'm a new person today. And so when people try to take away what I have worked so hard for because of a prescription that I am on that's prescribed legally to me, that pisses me off. And I'm telling you one thing, I have lost more friends because of their judgment of me being on maintenance medication, and they're sneaky judgers. I'm not talking about the people who straight up judge you and say, you're not sober. I'm talking about the people who act like they support maintenance medication, and they will be in our groups and be a part of the Real Talk Recovery family. And then they'll say side-eyed comments like, well, you're not going to be on that forever, are you? Or, you know that Suboxone isn't recovery. Or, you're still in active. Those kind of people are the people that I'm just like, if you don't support me, then get gone. If you can't see that I'm a new person and that I am so much different than I was in an active addiction, I don't need you in my life. I had one person in particular here on YouTube that I thought was one of my good friends. And then that person showed their true colors, and started talking about me being on maintenance medication. And honestly, I have no respect for somebody like that. Like, I will say it straight to your face. If I think you're a snake, I'll call you a snake and tell you, I think you're a snake. You know what I mean? I'm not like that. P-flaw, right? It's unfortunate. I still don't tell most people about Matt. They wouldn't know otherwise. No, they wouldn't. And that's a huge thing that I say to people. I say, they tell me the same thing about being on methadone, and I tell them to mind their own business. Okay, what's up, Irish Sinner? Love it. Facebook is toxic. There's so many ignorant opinions. That's right. I wish my mom listen to you. She doesn't understand it at all. Even after seeing me grow for the last 3 years, she doesn't see it as a good thing. Erin, I wish I could talk to her too. Erin, hit up Nicole. She will talk to your mom if you think it'll help. I sure will. I sure will. People that smile in your face, yes, girl, or use you for look at me, use you for a hand up. I'll tell you one thing that has happened to me a lot here on YouTube. People that have used me for a hand up, and then once they were done, be done with me. You know, makes me so mad. Snakes in the grass all the time, girl. Got to chop their heads off with a hoe. Thank you, Sam. You're doing the right thing when you keep doing it, because we can't make people see that's it, right? And Irish Sinner, that's one of the things that, like, I keep telling myself. Like, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing over here, and my actions and my consistency and my follow through, that shows that what I'm doing is a positive, and it's not. And that's how I changed. Honestly, you guys, that's how I showed my parents, because my parents didn't understand Suboxone. They had never heard of it. They didn't really know, about it. And so I had to show them by living my life in recovery and by changing. And I've made amends to my mom and dad and my sisters, and I'm present, and I'm there for them. Like, I show up to, like, my sister's birthdays and my mom's Mother's Day and my dad's birthday, and I'm a daughter to them. I'm able to do those things because I'm sober today. And so when people say things about maintenance medication, it makes me so sad, because if they could just see all the things that I've done in my life, in my recovery today, they would know. And I had a lady comment on something on Facebook the other day, and she told me that she wished her son had been able to get on Suboxone because he ended up dying of an overdose. And so, hey, boss baby. Hey, Nikki. Thanks, girl. He ended up dying of an overdose. And so a lot of people, they don't understand. A lot of people who say these things about Suboxone, a lot of them have never had an opiate addiction. And so they really don't understand at all, And so I'm not saying that all addictions are horrible, but until you've been down through there with opiates, it's really hard to understand because opiates are just the damnedest thing. They make it's hard, you guys. But like I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I wished I could have gotten sober on my own. Like I wished I could have done it without Suboxone. That's why I kept trying to do it like that. Like, and so when people try to take away the fact that I've worked really hard, it makes me mad. I made a video earlier today, and I don't hate this person, and I'm not mad at him, but I couldn't believe that out of all the things that I've accomplished here, that the only thing that he could really refer to was me being on Suboxone still. You know, 5 years has gone by, you guys. 5 years that I've been a mom to my son. 5 years that I've been able to help other people that are struggling in recovery. 5 years that I've been able to be a daughter and be present and work a full-time job and show up when I say I'm going to. I couldn't do that in my addiction. I lost everything. And so when people have to comment about that, it kind of makes me sad because I've worked so hard. You know what I mean? I have worked so hard in my recovery. As a pharmacist who has never had an addiction but is passionate about reducing mental health stigma, medication is a tool that can allow you to do the underlying work for a lasting recovery. Yes, Shelley, exactly. And so Miss Woods, Miss Shelley, that's what I try to explain to people about maintenance medication, is that the goal is for somebody to be able to utilize it, and while they're utilizing it, they can do the internal work, because that's what we have to do. We have to do internal work to change on the inside. Like I could have gotten on Suboxone, you guys, and I could have not done any work. I could still be just as manipulating and lying and cheating and doing the crimes that I was committing. Remember, like I've been to prison. Remember, I was stealing and I was lying and I was cheating and I was hurting others and you guys, I was a mess. And so I could have gotten on the maintenance medication and not done anything, and I would still be in the same situation I was when I was in active addiction, because I would still be acting out. I would still be doing my addictive behaviors. You know what I mean? Um, in my opinion, bupe as a medication will be very common in 5 to 10 years in this country as addiction rates continue. Nicole is doing. Is that like Jesus's work by educating folks? Who's he? Look at me. I'm like, what, P-Flaw? But it is already, let me tell you something, P-Flaw. In the 5 years that I've been sober, and honestly, we have come so far. Okay? We have come so far. So many people are on maintenance and are speaking out. And so we are Real Talk Recovery and Mara. We are spearheads, man. We are clearing the way for this whole movement. And that's why that is why this channel has gotten so much traction in the last year or so, because of the people who are seeking support that are on maintenance, and because of the fact that we are non-judgmental, open-minded here on this channel. People on Suboxone and methadone needed someone to relate to. They needed somebody to come and be with, who they can say, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Me too. You know what I mean? And that is, let me read a text I got today. Hold on just a second. Joe, I don't hope you don't mind. I'm going to read your text message. Okay. So this morning I woke up, and let me read this text. I love you guys, okay? Nicole, happy 5 years of sobriety. When I stumbled across your channel, I was so lost. I felt like my recovery was not valid. I felt so judged. You helped me understand that I am sober and I'm not alone in this. And you helped me to realize I need to offer my help to others that are feeling those same struggles. Nicole, you will be my friend for the rest of my life, and I love you. Enjoy your day. Count this victory and use it in a time of need. Please love everything that makes you you, because the RTR family sure loves the heck out of you. So that's what I was looking for when I made this channel. I was looking for other people like me who needed support and were speaking and sharing their recovery and being proud, because I had always been made to be like I should be ashamed of being on Suboxone and being sober by other addicts. Other addicts would tell me that basically like I needed to be hiding out in a cave somewhere until I got off Suboxone. Are you kidding me? I'm damn proud of myself, and I'm just so happy to be that person to share. I love it, y'all. I love sharing. We need to reduce the stigma around needing medications because everyone's journey in recovery is unique. Buying Suboxone on the street is much different than being dispensed from a pharmacy. It really is, Shelly. And I know that because I have a lot of addicts who reach out to me for help who are on Suboxone but are buying it off the street. And when you're buying it off the street, you're not guaranteed that you're going to be able to get it every time. And so you can run into situations where you run out. And then what happens? Then you're on you're up shit creek without a paddle. And so anyway, I love you guys. I know we've been on here for 2 hours, so I'm going to let y'all go to sleep. I'm going to let y'all go. But we got it, you guys. We did it. We hit 5 years sober. Every time I hit another year, I am like so excited because that's 5 years that I've been able to be back with my family. And if y'all know anything about me, my mom and my dad and my sisters are everything to me. My son is everything to me. My husband is everything to me. And so I'm just so grateful to be alive. And I want you guys to know that anything you ever need help with, all you got to do is text me on that Real Talk Recovery phone line. Shoot me a text, even if it's just to say hi. I care about you. I want you guys to be successful. I want you to stay sober. I want you to be safe. No matter what you got to do to get to your recovery, I want you to be able to obtain that. Okay, Cher, I got you, girl. Whatever you need. I want you guys to be successful. I want you to be happy. Okay? And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like, I really mean that. So I love you guys, and I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you for everybody that came out to support me this evening, and I'll see y'all Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for our recovery support group meeting. You and your vids, I don't talk much, but you're helping people that you don't even know. Hey, man, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate all of you guys that watch the channel and hang out with us. Like, honestly, it helps me so much, and just having you guys in my life doing the live streams, like I like interacting. I'll throw up some pre-recorded videos and stuff when I like really need to focus and get my point across, because I get distracted. But for the most part, I love interacting like with my people, and y'all are my people. So I love you guys, and I'll see y'all Wednesday at 7. Good night, and have everybody be good. And thank you for supporting me. And thank you everybody that messaged me today. And just thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have changed my life forever.